Join me as I dive deep into the impact of long-range weapons being sent to Ukraine and see if I can predict whether this will really turn the tide of the war. In a move that could potentially shift the dynamics of the ongoing conflict, the US has announced its decision to send long-range weapons to Ukraine. This development is significant not only because of the advanced capabilities these weapons bring to the table, but also due to the broader implications it has on the geopolitical landscape. As we speak, Ukrainian forces are fighting a grueling war against Russian-backed separatists, with both sides dug in and refusing to budge. Despite their bravery, Ukrainian troops have been struggling to make headway against their heavily armed opponents, who have had the upper hand in terms of firepower and manpower. The stakes are high, with thousands of innocent civilians caught in the crossfire and the very sovereignty of Ukraine hanging in the balance. The need for advanced weaponry has never been more pressing, and the US's decision to step in is a welcome boost to Ukraine's war effort. However, it's worth noting that the conflict has been marked by a series of failed ceasefires and broken promises, leaving many to wonder whether this latest development will actually make a tangible difference on the ground. The fact remains that Ukraine's military is still woefully under-equipped, and it's unclear whether even the most advanced weapons will be enough to overcome the entrenched interests of the separatists and their Russian backers. The Russian military has long been the dominant force in the region, and their ability to project power has been a major factor in Ukraine's struggles to regain control over its own territory. Ukraine's military, on the other hand, has been hamstrung by a lack of resources, a shortage of trained personnel, and a logistical nightmare that has seen them struggle to maintain supply lines and keep their troops equipped. Against this backdrop, the arrival of long-range weapons is a game-changer, offering Ukraine a chance to level the playing field and potentially even gain the upper hand. The question, of course, is whether Ukraine can actually make the most of this opportunity. The country's military has been working to reform and modernize, but it's a slow process that has been beset by setbacks and delays. Meanwhile, the war rages on, with civilians bearing the brunt of the violence. It's a dire situation that demands action, and the US's decision to supply long-range weapons is a welcome step in the right direction. When it comes to the types of long-range weapons being sent, the details are still emerging, but it's clear that these are advanced systems capable of striking targets at distance. The M31 rocket, for example, has a range of over 70 kilometers, giving Ukrainian forces the ability to hit enemy positions deep behind the front lines. These weapons are precision-guided, meaning they can be targeted with a high degree of accuracy, minimizing the risk of collateral damage and civilian casualties. They're also designed to be highly mobile, making them difficult for the enemy to target. In the hands of Ukrainian forces, these weapons could potentially alter the battlefield dynamics in significant ways. Imagine being able to strike enemy artillery positions or command centers from a safe distance, crippling their ability to coordinate attacks or respond effectively. It's a powerful capability that could give Ukraine a decisive edge in the conflict, allowing them to retake territory and ultimately bring the war to a close. Of course, there are also risks involved, not least the potential for these weapons to fall into the wrong hands. There's already been concern about the spread of advanced weaponry in the region, and the influx of new systems could exacerbate the problem. Additionally, there's the very real possibility that Russia could respond with force, escalating the conflict and putting civilians at even greater risk. Experts are divided on whether these weapons will actually turn the tide of the war. Some argue that they're a game changer, offering Ukraine a chance to break the deadlock and regain the initiative. Others are more skeptical, pointing out that the conflict is ultimately a political and economic one, and that no amount of weaponry can substitute for meaningful diplomatic engagement and a willingness to address the root causes of the conflict. As one analyst put it, these weapons are a necessary but not sufficient condition for Ukraine to win the war. What's ultimately needed is a comprehensive strategy that takes into account the complex web of interests and alliances at play. So what does it all mean? The decision to send long-range weapons to Ukraine is a significant one, with the potential to alter the course of the conflict in meaningful ways. However, it's also important to recognize the limits of military power and the need for a broader strategy that addresses the underlying drivers of the war. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to share your thoughts on the implications of these weapons in the comments below. If you're new here, consider subscribing for more in-depth analysis on the Ukraine war and its broader implications for global politics.